Welcome back to the channel. If you've been considering relocating to Austin, Texas or the greater Austin area, chances are you've been doing your homework, which means most likely Leander, Texas is on your list. And in this video, we're going to talk about what you need to know about Leander, Texas and whether or not it's a bad idea to move there in 2023. Stay tuned. Hey again, everybody. This is Frank with the Living in Austin group at eXp Realty. On this channel, we put out new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and the bad. So consider subscribing if you haven't already and ring that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. We also love the reach outs we get now all the time from people just like you in need of our help when relocating to the greater Austin area. So keep them coming. Do not hesitate. Whether you're 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team. Whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. So yes, in this video, we are talking about why moving to Leander, Texas might not be a great idea now in 2023. And in the spirit of fairness and transparency, I will be talking about some good things that Leander does have going for it. And on the other hand, I will be talking about some things that might not be right for you. Without further ado, let's waste no time and get right to it, starting with the subject of location. Now, depending on who you are and where you're coming from, this might be a good or a bad thing. So, for starters, Leander, Texas is northwest of downtown Austin. And not just a little bit northwest to where you're maybe talking about North Austin or maybe where the domain is. No, we are talking very much northwest of downtown Austin, roughly on average 30 minutes from the heart of Austin, Texas. And then, of course, if you're looking at that tech hub, which a lot of our clients have relocated here to do work in tech, then that drive is going to be about 20 minutes. So depending on who you are and which situation you're coming from, that might seem like quite a bit of a drive, or it might seem pretty short. Reason being, some of you who relocate here might be used to commutes of maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, or maybe you even cycle to work. Other people we've helped come from, say, California, and they're used to commutes of easily an hour and a half, or 2 hours. And so 30 minutes to them might seem like quite a bit of an easy drive. But I realize to many of you, it just might not be. Now, obviously, if you are someone who works remote, then this really doesn't apply in the context of commuting. However, if you are someone even still, say, let's say you do not work out of corporate downtown or out of the tech hub near North Austin, let's say you still want to enjoy the fruits of what Austin, Texas has to offer, whether we're talking about all the things to do, the bars, the museums, the parks, the lakes, so on and so forth. If you know you're going to be spending a lot of time downtown, then that is something to take into consideration whether or not you're commuting and whether or not you work from home. All that to say, the location of Leander, Texas might be right up your alley, especially if you're wanting to live in a place that is a bit removed from the city. However, on the other hand, if it just seems like it's too far for you and it doesn't make sense, that is absolutely one of the reasons why Leander, Texas just might not be right for you. Moving right along, another reason why Leander, Texas might be a bad idea, especially now in 2023, would be the subject of its development and future. So where do I begin with this one? I should probably say that not too long ago, Leander, Texas was this up and coming boomtown in its own right. It had a bit of a rural feel once upon a time where it was quite easy to find land and acres and things like that. It was pretty quiet and honestly just a nice peaceful place to live for the people whose tastes that it matched, right? Well, in recent years, Leander, Texas has absolutely exploded with its popularity for a lot of reasons we will get to a bit later in this video. But as a result of that popularity, we are seeing that so much of its wide open spaces and land is now being developed, and now they are putting in these cookie cutter homes left and right, where a lot of people who might have enjoyed what it once was once upon a time are now kind of being turned off by how aggressively and quickly it is evolving. Now, as mentioned, and something you'll hear me say quite often in this video, that might be right for you or it might not. Because you might be wanting to have a place that might remind you of where you're coming from, where it is developed, where you do have a lot of neighborhoods, where there is a lot to do. But some of you who might want an escape or a bit of a slower pace or a place that just isn't all too busy might be turned off by how Leander is growing. Which leads me to the subject of Leander's future. And this is where it gets gets pretty juicy. So in case you didn't know, Leander, Texas has plans for not only Leander Springs, which is a gigantic lagoon with shopping, which is bound to bring a lot of people to the town. In addition to that, even larger plans it has are for Northline, which, if you've heard of the domain in North Austin, is essentially going to be very comparable to that. And that is a gigantic shopping center that is going to have offices, that is going to have retail, that is going to have apartments and townhomes and all these types of things to do. And if we're talking details, it's going to be 116 acres. It is going to have 225,000 square feet of retail, 1.9 million square feet of office space, 175,000 square feet for hotels. It's going to have short of 2,200 apartments, 250 townhomes, all kinds of other amenities. And what makes it even more interesting is the timeline for this, right? Because in 2020, that's really when they only began to break ground. And then in 2021, they began some construction on at least some of the buildings that are going to be taller. And then in 2022, they began construction on the town square and other amenities of that nature, all the way slated for the year 2031 when they finally finish this gigantic project. Now, on one hand, if you're looking at Leander and you want an abundance of things to do and you want to be in a place where it's really popping and happening, this is all very, very attractive, especially if you're taking into consideration the equity and appreciation on whichever property you own. However, the downside to this is, as mentioned, if you're wanting Leander, Texas to be what it once was and what it once touted itself on being, which was this slow-paced, laid back, removed from the city suburb that was nice, quiet, and safe, all of a sudden you're going to be bombarded with new people, you're going to have your own construction, and of course, as mentioned, prices are going to go through the roof. All that to say, the development in future of Leander, Texas is honestly both a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it, and of course, very potentially a reason it might be a bad idea to move there in 2023. Now, after explaining all of that, naturally you might be thinking, well, Frank, give me some good news. And the best I can give you right now is another pro that could also be looked at as a con, somewhat related to what we just talked about, and that would be the things to do in Leander, Texas. As mentioned, it has loads of development and a very bright future, of course, depending on how you look at it. But what is Leander, Texas like right now, in this exact moment, if you were to move there, say, in the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days? And the answer is, there isn't a whole lot of things to do. And as mentioned, that could be a good thing and a bad thing, and here's why. Leander, Texas, as it currently stands, if you remove it from its prophetic future of development and explosions, is essentially a quiet, peaceful, safe, happy place to live. So rest assured, I'm not saying there's absolutely nothing to do in Leander, Texas, but you should expect for the things to do in Leander, Texas to reflect the lifestyle of that, which is a suburb. And of course, depending on your preferences and your tastes, that absolutely might be a reason why it's a bad idea for you to move to Leander, Texas in 2023. Up next, regarding Leander, Texas, we have the subject of affordability and property taxes. Riveting, thrilling, I know. But it's worth knowing because Leander, Texas, as mentioned, is one of the most popular and in-demand suburbs in the entire greater Austin area. And of course, while it isn't necessarily the Westlake Hills or Lakeway, Texas, for example, places that are very luxurious and expensive, its price point is still going to reflect its demand and popularity. So at this point in time, the median home price of Leander, Texas is ranging between about $460,000 upwards to about $500,000, and that will fluctuate month to month. Now, unfortunately, regarding the subject of property taxes, this is where it might feel like there's a bit of a catch. And the reason being, a majority of the clients that we've helped relocate not just to Austin, Texas, but to the greater Austin area, a lot of them are coming from places with property tax rates of easily 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%, maybe 2%. Well, not specific to Leander, Texas, not even specific to Austin, Texas, but in the state of Texas itself, chances are, depending of course on where you want to move, you're going to see property tax rates of easily 2.5%, 2.75%, 3%, and even above 3%. Now in the case of Leander, Texas, because so much of it is new schools, new stores, new roads, new neighborhoods, chances are reflecting that the property tax rate is going to be closer to 3%, if not above that. So while yes, many people may argue that because we don't have any state income tax in Texas that it kind of balances out, Even still, it is going to feel at times almost like a second mortgage, and it absolutely is something to keep in mind when you are preparing your budget for your move. So many people, they cross their T's and they dot their I's and they get all their ducks in a row, but they forget to account for those property taxes, and then when it's too late, it bites them. So I'm not saying any of this to discourage you. I'm not saying any of this to disenchant you, but in the spirit of transparency, we want you to be as prepared as possible. And if the affordability isn't enough reason, the property taxes in addition to it could absolutely be a reason why Leander, Texas is a bad idea for you in 2023. Now, real quickly before moving on, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If we've been providing any value for you, consider clicking the like button as it helps our channel grow. Remember to subscribe, and lastly, share our content with anybody you know who's wanting to learn more about living in Austin, Texas. Moving right along, let's finally talk about something positive regarding Leander, Texas, because I fear my transparency might just be coming across as pure negativity, and I do not mean that to be the case. Something very positive about Leander, Texas, perhaps the one big reason why everybody moves there in the first place, would be the subject of schools, and more specifically speaking, the Leander Independent School District. Time and time again, year after year, it is consistently ranked among the best cream of the crop school districts in the entire greater Austin area. I think to my knowledge, according to niche.com, it is actually number 2 behind the Eanes Independent School District, which sits at number 1 on the list by niche.com. However, important context to know is that the Eanes Independent School District is a much smaller sample size as it is in the Westlake Hills, a very prime luxurious area with a median home price, I believe, in the $2 million range. And so if we're talking about a larger, more broad or normal public school district, Leander, Texas is basically number 1. Now, personally, I feel a bit validated with it being ranked second on niche.com's list of greatest school districts in the entire greater Austin area, and that is because once upon a time, I was a student in the Leander Independent School District. I did all of my elementary years there, I did all of my middle school years there, and I did all of my high school years there as well. So my point is, I don't really blame anybody or any of our previous clients for wanting to relocate to Leander, Texas, because the schools are just that good, and the entire community is based around the schools. I mean, that is the entire point in some ways of that suburb in the first place. So I suppose if you are relocating here and you're planning to start a family, or perhaps you already have a family, then Leander, Texas makes perfect sense, especially with the school districts being atop of the list of reasons why. However, if you are looking at Leander, Texas, and perhaps you have absolutely no interest or need for the school districts to be so perfect and pristine, then you got to start asking yourself, is this really the type of place that I would like to live? And if the answer is yes, then great. And if the answer is no, for any of the aforementioned reasons, then perhaps it might be a bad idea to move to Leander, Texas. So there you have it. Hopefully we've done a good enough job of giving you an idea of what to expect regarding Leander, Texas, especially now in 2023 as things continue to change so drastically. For many of the reasons explained in this video, Leander, Texas simply might not be right for you. Maybe you prefer Manor, Texas. Maybe you prefer Georgetown, Texas. Maybe you prefer Dripping Springs, Texas, so on and so forth. Either way, that is what we are here for, as mentioned, helping people just like you relocate to the greater Austin area, making that move as smooth as possible and finding that perfect spot. But again, the only way we can do that is by you reaching out to us. So again, do not hesitate, whether you are 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call any day of the week, any time of day. It's what we love to do. And of course, on this channel, we put out new content about living in Austin, Texas, the good and yes, the bad. So consider subscribing if you haven't already and ringing that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share it with anybody you know. And until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This is Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.